always nice to see so many professionals coming out. It's a different time for us as educators, teachers, families. We're all kind of struggling a little bit, trying to get things under wraps. So today I want to talk about something that is just really going to be an overview of some great skills and a little bit of a how-to on how to use some different tools, but for the most part, just to be able to address some really simple things. As we move into this series of EdTech tools, we'll really look at how these tools can be leveraged for distance education, both from the teacher's side as well as the student side. So you can kind of see how these really work together to help encourage learning in a distance program. So I do want to make sure a couple of things. I'm going to be sending out the presentation link, and I do want to make sure though, as I am sending out the presentation link, that you guys are aware of some of Zoom's abilities. So right now my screen should be shared, and you should probably see my slideshow presentation. I actually don't go into the presentation mode during Zoom just because it's easier for me to navigate back and forth. But if you don't know, you can actually pull the side of my screen in and out. Like you can pull that in and out so that you can navigate some Chrome windows behind you. I would really like to see some participation today and some people testing out some of the tools that I'm going to be showing. So I'm hoping that you're able to just kind of, right now while I'm speaking, grab the side of your Zoom and with your mouse and see if you can pull it back and forth and then arrange it. And as you're doing that, down at the bottom, you should have the ability to manage participants as well as chat. I would highly recommend pulling this menu out. So just click here and then pulling it out so you can see the participant list, and then click here so you can see the chat list. And the reason why we do that is in the participant window, I have the ability to look at the nonverbal cues. So if I'm speaking too quickly, if I'm not speaking fast enough, if I ask you a question, there's the ability for you really to give me a cue non-verbally. In a room with this many people, it is really nice to be able to have the ability for me to stop if you have a question, and so forth. So those nonverbal cues are really nice and really important. You can even tell me you're getting coffee if I'm not really sure what that symbol is for, but it's coffee, and all educators just love coffee, so I figured that's why they put that there. So you can tell me you're getting coffee, and then I'll just be dreaming about it. But these nonverbal cues are great. It's a great way to just, let me know how you're doing and if I'm moving a little too fast. I get very excited about EdTech practices, as you can tell, and I start talking really fast. And then sometimes I just need someone to say, you know what, slow down a little bit because I'm still clicking away over here. So in Zoom, when you're doing digital webinars, we can't see really your faces. We can't read the body language. I can't see that, perplexed eyebrow that goes up when you're like trying to figure something out. So I use these nonverbal cues to help me gauge whether I'm moving too fast or too slow. We also like to use the chat as our back channel, and the chat in our back channel works really nicely. It's a great way for you guys to have conversations, to add to the conversations. It's a great place for someone to say, that's a wonderful tool, or to make a comment without really interrupting the presentation. It's also a really, really good way to ask a question discreetly so that nobody, you're not interrupting the presenter. Minhee and Natalie have graciously agreed to be my moderators in case I miss a question as I'm presenting. They'll stop me if something comes up and I need to address a question. So please feel free to post your questions in that window, that chat window. So I'm going to test you now. Give me a yes in your participant window if you are able to move your window, your screen back and forth like this. Give me a yes. Oh, I see some yeses coming up. There you go. Thank you, Lindsay and Grace and Elena. Oh, someone's in the chat window saying yes. Okay, great. Wonderful. I'm glad you guys were able to do that. What I'm going to do now is I am going to send you in the chat window the presentation link. And I like sending the presentation link ahead of time because this allows you to follow along with me. If I progress to a slide and you're still sitting on another slide, you can go back to the other slide and hang out there while I'm talking on a new slide. So it's a really nice way for me to go in and make sure that you're with me. It's also a really good way for me to hand out different resources and so forth. So I see all of you guys popping in there. If you are not familiar, what I did was when I threw that into the chat, it probably activated the chat window for you. So you got a little orange block saying, you know, there's somebody chatting. All you would do is copy that link into a new browser window. You can go back to your Chrome browser and copy that link right into Chrome. All right, so also, I just wanted to reiterate, especially for the people who just came in at the end, today's presentation does require you to be signed into Google, whether you're signed into your school Google account or your personal Gmail account, you will need to sign into Google. I like to do everything through my personal Gmail account if I'm working outside of my district, because this allows me to work outside of whatever district filters or parameters that they have. So sometimes districts will put things, IT programs will put things on there that will limit you from doing things. It's always nice to learn in an environment that's completely open. So maybe try putting in your personal Gmail account. You will know that you are signed in when you look at the top of your window and you see either your initials here or your profile picture here. All right, so let me tell you a little bit about myself. So my name is Hue-An Wren, and I go by Ann. A lot of people just call me Ann. And I am an instructional technology TOSA in the Garden Grove Unified School District. I work in the instructional technology department, but I'm a teacher on special assignment, meaning I support teachers. I really work with the professional development of teachers, but specifically in the area of instructional technology. That is my 9 to 5 Monday through Friday job, and I love it. It is the most wonderful district to work for. I am also an adjunct at I'm also part of the Cal State Fullerton family, and I work in the Masters in Educational Technology program. It is a phenomenal online program, and from everything, from the research and the pedagogy and everything that we do, it is an amazing program. And I am so very, very honored that they chose me to teach in that program, because everything I do fits in with the pedagogy and the research that they have there. So it's a great program. So I teach there. I also teach in the admin credential program at UCI in the technology. So when I say I know a lot about ed tech, I really do, and that is just because that's my passion. It's what I enjoy. I love learning new things. I love tinkering. Earlier, I had mentioned, I was talking with somebody and they mentioned that, you know, with technology, everything's new all the time, and I think that's what I like about it. I like learning new things. I like how it changes the way we teach, how it changes the way we impart knowledge. So I think that's why I've been drawn to ed tech, and I've been doing this for years. I've been a TOSA for 5 years. Had my degree for, I want to say 10 years now. And so it's been a great ride, and I just see it getting better and better. And now with everyone moving to online, my job is even more sought after. So I'm feeling very fortunate. So that's what I do. That's a little bit about myself. Right now in my district, we are all remote as well, and I'm supporting our teachers as they transition. I'm supporting them by providing webinars like I'm doing here with you guys, and then I am supporting them by hopping into their classrooms and troubleshooting and testing things out for people. Just like a lot of our teachers, though, I feel like I'm really stretched thin. I'm also a mom. So I'm trying to balance being a mom and my preschool child, as well as trying to work here at the computer and support my teachers. So I find that I'm doing a lot of jobs, and sometimes it gets a little stressful. I imagine you're in the position as well. So take a look at this diagram, all these different people here on the diagram, and looking at all these numbers and so forth. Can you take a look and tell me, who do you feel like you are right now? And if you could just pop in a number in the chat window and tell me, who do you think you are right now, and how are you feeling with everything going into remote, and what it is that you are having to deal with, if this is the first time you've ever had to do with technology, if this is the first time you've ever had to work with someone. Right now, I kind of feel like let's see here. If I were to look at myself, I kind of feel like I'm over there on 17. I'm number 17, or maybe even 16, because I feel like I'm over there on the other side going, you got this, come on over, you can do this. I see a 12. Oh, Elena, you must be walking a tightrope, so you're very, very careful and very, very cautious. Michael looks like he's moving, he's on his way, he's almost there. Tori, you're a little confused. There's a little question mark on number 10. Natalie, you're right in the middle, kind of sitting there. You know, number 14 looks like that. I hope that number 14 is reaching for number 21. That's what I'm thinking. Number 14 is probably reaching for number 21. Number 19, oh, number 19, Leticia. We'll get you there, I promise. You sit in on all of our presentations and we will get you where you need to be. Number eight, you're still there. You're on the bridge, which is good. I'm 6, the person that knows number 6. Oh, okay. Have to take on the new tech, but a bit hesitant. Oh, I like that. I like how you, Celine, I like how you described that you were a little bit hesitant, but you don't mind taking on the new tech. Okay. 18, where is number 18? Oh, 18. Okay, good. The students. And number 9. Okay. All right. So I'm glad that we're seeing how, you know, I'm going to be putting up this image before every single one of our presentations, just because this is going to change for you. You may, at the end of our series of presentations, you may be number 24. You may be Spider-Man coming in and saving everybody. And that may be something that you feel confident in and you feel okay with after the end of our webinar series. But I am hoping that as we go through this series, that we look towards these people and we change our mindset in what our role is in the way that we work. So it's a really nice way of just kind of seeing where we're at. And I'm hoping that you become closer to 16 and 17 and 18, or even 15 by the time we're done with our webinar. So with that being said, what's your experience with screencasts? Today's presentation is on creating screencasts and tutorials. And I recognize a lot of people in the participant list. Some of these people I recognize from being Garden Grove Unified School District teachers. So I recognize you there, and you're some of our tech leaders there. I know that one of my former student teachers is in the group, but who is now a colleague in a dual immersion program is in the room. So what is your expertise level with screencasts? I'm seeing some 1s, a 5, okay. I see a few 5s, okay. Great, and some 1s. So just so that I kind of get a gauge on how I move through this presentation will be, you know, what you guys are telling me. So I'm seeing a lot of 1s on screencasts. Great. Well, I mean, I know where I start, 1s and 5s. So I would like to, by the end of today's presentation, get you to a point where you and your students are able to do screencasts and submit them as we go through. So the power of screencasts in the classroom for teachers and for students. It's a great place to have for different reasons. As teachers, you can use screencasts to demonstrate skills and concepts. You can use screencasts to create how-to videos or tutorials. I know in many districts you have online components. It is very difficult for some students, if they've never done it before, to be able to log into a program, even log in and get to the assignments. I know it's been a little bit of an uphill climb for some of our teachers to try and get students logged into Google Classroom, to be able to use, because we don't have an LMS, we use Google Classroom. Screencasts can also be used to engage or spark curiosity. If you want to ask students a question, it's a great way to provide feedback. It's a great way to maintain the communication and culture in your classroom, because our kids need to see your faces. That's the thing, is that they want to see you and your face. So it's really a great way to add that, and having your voice gives them a certain level of comfort that they can have. For students, when they create screencasts, they can use them to demonstrate mastery. They can use them to demonstrate their cognitive process, where they're getting. I used to use screencasts all the time to send to the help desk to say, I'm getting stuck right here. I'll show you where I'm stuck. And that's how they'll be able to help me with the troubleshoot my problem. So it's a great way to just demonstrate what you're thinking. And obviously for presenting, any presentation in class, screencasts are a wonderful way to do it. When we are in a remote learning situation, we're all in distance education now, it's nice to be able to offer activities that students can work on outside of your virtual classroom, outside of your one-to-one synchronous session, and then be able to submit something later, and you can watch it at your convenience when you're not with students or you're not with your small group. But screencasting is a great way to provide instruction, remediate learning, and then offer asynchronous learning to students. It's a wonderful way to create that balance. So I wanted to point out, Naleen is here in our room today, and she allowed me to share her video here. This is just an example of her video that she creates for her weekly announcements.
Chào các con. Hôm nay cô Thanh muốn chỉ các con để vào một cái tuần mới và cái nơi để mình kiếm cái bài làm cho tuần này, và cô muốn tập trung vào một cái bài xã hội học mà cô biết là tuần trước các con có nhiều cái khó khăn, thì hy vọng là bữa nay sau khi coi được cái video này con biết cách để làm hơn. Thì nếu mà có thắc mắc gì thì cứ liên lạc cho cô để cô giúp các con.
And, you know, the video goes on, and she, for those of you who do not speak Vietnamese, she actually teaches the first grade dual language program in her district. And what she's saying is she's giving the students an overview of the week. And it's just beautifully done. And the thing about first graders is that they want to see their teacher. They want to hear from their teacher, and she's speaking to them, and she has her face there to build that community and that culture. And that for many of our students is a huge sign of everything is going to be okay, because there's my teacher, there's the person I've been seeing for so long. So it's one of the ways that we want to continue to build culture and support our students, because I'm sure they're going through something very difficult right now. It's scary for them and it's unknown. Really quickly, before I move on to the next slide, it would be really great if you guys could turn on your video, because our moderators can see your faces and who you are and so forth as I'm presenting through this one, and they want to be able to build, I believe, you know, many of the participants know each other, so they want to be able to build that community. So if you could turn on your video, and so we can still see your faces, because we can see your faces when we have the screen open and present as well. So take a few minutes to do that. So screencasts in the classroom. Here are some tips, some ideas. Chunk content. Nobody wants to watch a 15-minute video. I can't even watch a 15-minute video. So it's not easy to do. Oh, I'm going to talk to Minhee. Can you turn on the video for everyone? We have, as the host, have the ability to do so, so you can do that. Oh, and then EM, I believe EM is Elizabeth Moreno. She's a teacher from our district. Her son is on a laptop, so she's hesitant, so I think the video might be a little bit difficult for her. Okay, so one thing about tips in the classroom, chunk the content. Definitely, I would even create video 1, video 2, video 3, and those kinds of things. So chunk the content so students can only listen to what they would listen to. If you, depending on the grade level of your students, you may not want to have a full video, even though they can stop the video. The self-regulation skills aren't quite there yet for many of our students. So you would know when you're giving directions to your students, how many directions would you give at the same time? So based on the age level of your students, you know, make sure you're prioritizing the information that you share in your screencast. Design for your learners, design for the way your students teach. And then you'll be able to give them the small chunk that they need. Less is more. If you look at my slides, I talk about each of these bullet points, but I don't write that much. So it's a great way for me, what you hear from me is me elaborating, but still the most important part is the part that's on the slide. I cannot stress enough that you need to be prepared when you're doing a screencast. Make sure you know what you're talking about, have an outline, even if that outline is your slide deck, have that outline ready to go. record in a quiet environment. I don't know if you guys heard, my gardener just came. So the lawnmower is going and the leaf blowers are going, and it's a little bit distracting back there, but luckily I have my own headphone, my own little headset, my earbuds. So the microphone is right here. So that all that is minimized by having my own little earbuds. The one thing that I need to be aware of is that I speak really fast. So I tend to do that. And I just know when I'm doing a screencast that I need to slow down and make sure that everything that we go over is at a pace that is understandable by my students. So let's look at the tools. So there's two tools today I'm going to be talking about. Two of them, one is Screencastify. It is a universal tool because it works through your browser. And I like Screencastify because it works for Chrome browser. So it works for students who are on Chromebooks, which very rarely do we have good media tools for Chromebooks, so it works really well there, and it saves into Google very well. So for students, it's a very nice student-friendly platform. I'm also going to be quickly, very quickly touching on Quicktime, which is an Apple-only tool. And if I could just in the chat window, in your participant window, if you could just put a green yes check mark and tell me how many of you have Apple devices, a MacBook Air, a MacBook Pro, or an iPad. Just give me a green check and then give me a red X if you do not use one of those regularly. So everyone's going to give me some sort of implication. So I just want to see how many people so that I can spend the appropriate amount of time on these devices. If nobody uses Apple devices, then I will really quickly, briefly go over those devices. So it looks like it's half and half. I'm just going to wait for a handful of people to put their answers in. It literally is right down the middle, half and half. Okay. Still a handful of people I'm waiting to see. Okay. So it looks like we're half and half. So then what I will do is I'm going to give you some time later to explore. I will talk about the Apple tools, but it'll be a very quick presentation, but then you'll have an opportunity to just explore some other things as well. So that for those people who don't have Apple devices, you can kind of look at other things. So Screencastify, I did ask you to sign into Google because that will be important later. Screencastify is a Chrome extension. It is a Chrome extension, and I linked it here for you. So if you are on the presentation and you click on the little symbol here, it will take you to Screencastify. And when you get to that window, you're going to need to add it to Chrome and then give all of the permissions, your firstborn child, your first mortgage, all those things that you're going to have to give to them before you can even start using the Chrome extension, because it's going to need to sync up with your Google Drive. And that's why it's asking for all these permissions. So hopefully in another window, you're able to grab in there and you just click add to Chrome and then just click on, you accept the policies and so forth, and then we can keep going. I'm going to give you just a few minutes to do that, or seconds really to do that, because it won't take long and you can continue to do it while I'm on the next screen if you need to. I'm seeing that, Minhee, there are a handful of people that are trying to undo or open their video. Are you able to?
Yes, all
Okay.
the people that I've asked in the chat are on video.
Awesome. Okay, great.
If you change your mind and if you want to go back on video and I need to check that, please let me know in the chat.
Okay. So Screencastify, when you've added it to Chrome, it's a little arrow in the Chrome window, and it looks like this little arrow right here. And it's very easy to use. All you do is just click on that little arrow. It's a teeny tiny little movie recorder in there. You could never see it, but it's a teeny tiny little movie recorder in there. So you click there and that will engage the extension. It'll start and you'll have a couple of options to choose from. This 5-minute video limit, it's actually the upgrade. They are offering the upgrade to all schools during the COVID-19 closures. So if you want, you can click on the upgrade and then, or find the blog to be able to request the free upgrade, you're going to have to do it on behalf of your district, and you're going to have to tell them that you are, your school is closed. So once you click on it, you'll have a couple of options. You can do the browser tab, the desktop, or the webcam. Browser tab means the Chrome browser. So right now it's the internet browser. If I were to choose the browser tab, I wouldn't have my Zoom window because my Zoom isn't in my browser. I wouldn't have my, my Microsoft Word because my Microsoft Word isn't in my browser. If I wanted to, if I'm doing something on Microsoft Word, I could share my desktop, and my desktop is the entire screen, everything that it includes the internet browser that you're looking at and all the applications, everything from end to end on your desktop. I always tell people when I see someone choose desktop, I always tell them only share what you mean to share, because when you choose desktop, there could be personal files on your desktop. There could be emails that are opened up. There could be personal names. So just when you're sharing things like that and you're sending the video out, know that you should only be sharing what you mean to share. I often only use the browser tab. If I use the browser tab, I am set because I know that this browser is what is going to be used and nothing else will be used. Nothing on my personal device will be shown when I'm doing my screen. I can do just a webcam. For those of you who are comfortable doing that, I have a difficult time with that, but I can do just the webcam. So what I would do is I would click on the webcam and it would just activate my webcam and just show my face and not the actual screen recording. In some cases, having that webcam recording is convenient. I can see in a world language classroom, seeing the teacher and seeing how the teacher speaks would be very important to be, and having just the webcam activated would be beneficial in nature. Once you've chosen your device and the area that is going to be recorded, then you toggle one of these options. Toggle the microphone on because you do want them to hear you. The whole purpose of screencasting is for you to narrate your video. You choose the video here, and when you activate this little bar will start bouncing based on your the sound. So as it hears the sounds, it'll start bouncing, and you'll be able to see that. The system should automatically detect what microphone you're using. If you want to, and I find this to be a very important feature, if you want to embed your webcam, you can do that by toggling this on. And earlier I showed you the video of Naleen, who was doing her classroom her classroom welcome for the week. And having that video means a lot to your students. Having that face, your face, means a lot to your students. And to them, they want to know that it's you, and a sense of calming, knowing that you're there and you're talking to them. That reassures them in this very uneasy and uncertain time. So make sure, if you can, and embed your webcam as often as you can, because our students need that. They need to be able to see you and to be reassured that you're there and you're their teacher and I remember what you look like, and so all those things. So it's very important to have that feature if you can. And then you click record, and then it'll do a nice little countdown. It'll count in the middle of your screen. It'll say 3, 2, 1, and then it'll start recording. At the bottom of your screen, you'll see these little navigation tools. You can stop, you can annotate as you're navigating, you can erase, you can turn on your webcam. When you're all done recording, you go back up to your extension, you click on it, and this will come up. It'll say you're recording, this is how long your recording is, and you can stop it. You can delete it and start over if you want, but these are your options. I do want to make a tip. I wouldn't get too hung up on the perfection of your screencasts, because it is something that you want a lot of people to be able to use right away. If you spend too much time working on the perfection and the details of your screencast, then you are not going to get very far very quickly. So do the best you can. If you're prepared, your screencast will go very well and you won't have to do much starting over. Once you stop it, it'll take you into this field. You can rename the recording. If you used Google Slides, it will automatically take the name of your Google Slides, which is kind of neat. I thought that was a really neat one. If you want, you can trim the recording. You can trim the beginning or the end of it off. I always like to trim when I'm not talking and I'm moving my mouse to the stop button. So I always trim that part off. After you trim it, you have the ability to share it. So this is the nicest part about Screencastify. It integrates with Google very nicely. When you're done, if you decide you don't like it, after all that editing, you can trash it here, or you can send this link out. Send this link out in an email, put it in a slideshow, put it on social media, whatever you need to do. You can send it to your Google Classroom. You can publish it to YouTube. You can even embed it into a website if you wanted to embed it in a website. That's what that embed code is. Or you can download it to your device. You can download it straight to your laptop, export it. Even if it's short enough, you can even export it as a GIF and be able to get a really nice, you know, it'll loop that way, but it's a series of images. It has to be relatively short though to be able to do that. Okay, what questions, any questions are we having? Are you guys, so there's one of two things that happens when I present EdTech. Usually, if I'm presenting one-on-one, I can tell that many of you have already gone into a different browser and started playing around with it. And have started to already add the extension. You're probably recording me talking right now. So a lot of that happens, and that's perfectly fine, so long as you're not disrupting your colleagues, and I don't hear anybody doing that and disrupting. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to give you a little bit of time, if you have not already, to go in and get the extension. So we're gonna go in and grab that extension from this link right here.
Hue-An?
Yes.
Quick question from our chat. What if someone doesn't have a Google account? Are there options or?
Not for Screencastify. That's a great question. I do want to note, let you know that Google accounts are absolutely free. So if you want to, you can even create a Google account right now as we're working and getting one in. But if you don't have a Google account, we have other options. We can work with the Quicktime video, but Screencastify, there are no tools out there that will allow you to do things without some sort of an account. So in the meantime, while we're working, it might be nice to just grab an account, a Google account, even if it is your spam account that you give to all the grocery stores when you're trying to sign up for their registry cards. So it might be a nice time to just get one just to get access to the tools. And then after you grab that extension, go in and start recording and play with the buttons, delete the recording, start over again. I don't mind being your guinea pig. And play with the links and all that stuff. And what I'm going to do is I am going to start a timer and give you 5 minutes. I'm going to be very strict about this 5 minutes. So start a timer for 5 minutes, and then I'm going to allow you to test it out. If you would like to practice embedding a presentation, this is how you would do it. You would grab a Google slide. You would embed your presentation on the slide. So I made a presentation of how to make a presentation. It seems very meta, but you would just choose a slide, put your name on it, and then click Insert Video, and then go to your Google Drive and find your screencast. Because the beautiful thing about screencasting is when you are done screencasting, it will save in a folder called Screencastify. It makes a folder for you, and it saves it right here in your folder. So it's a really nice little feature that it has in your drive. So when you're going in, you can practice on this slide, and this slide is right here after you get your instructions, or after you get your extension. So go get your extension here, practice, come back here, practice putting it in a slide. And then it's a great way to go ahead and I will be checking back here to see if anybody practices getting into this slide. And then if you are absolutely good, you know how to do this, you've done it before, you're perfect and you're a professional, here are 50 different ways that you can use Screencastify in the classroom, and you will have 5 minutes to peruse those 50 different ways. I'm gonna start the timer as well as answer the question that came up in the, so that we don't. Okay, so one of the questions was, are there edit features? There are edit features, but it is in beta. So let me show you, oops, sorry, let me show you the beta right here. It's the editor, it's in beta. Right now, everybody is using Screencastify. I remember them talking about how they had more videos uploaded to the Screencastify in the first 3 days of April than in the entire month of March, because everyone went to remote learning in April. So it really, the beta is there, the editing is there, but it's just not very good. You can edit in QuickTime if you have an Apple, or you can edit in some other applications like video or something like that. But for the most part, Screencastify's editing is okay. It's just more for like trimming, and you can get into it over and over. Oh. Okay, so let me show you. Let me go into Screencastify, see if I can show you the editing tools. Oh, that's okay. All right, let me go into Screencastify. I'm gonna launch it and record myself here. You can insert a, so the question came up in the chat, can you insert in Google Form? You can insert the link to your video in Google Form. So if you open up a Google Form and you're editing the question, you can insert the link from your Google slide in a Google Form. Let me see if I can just go, I'm gonna go to a different, and just open up Screencastify so you can see. Uh-oh. Where are my videos? Here, we're gonna Screencastify myself. I'm recording myself recording. All right, so now this is my recording. Here's the editor right here if you're looking for the editor. And if you want to trash it, here's the trash. If you wanted to, these are your shareable links. Earlier I was talking to someone about Google Forms, and this is, I just copied that link to my clipboard. So if I wanted to, I can just click on a Google Form and paste that link there. I can share it to Classroom, I can download it, and then I can trim it. This is that editor. I don't want to click on it now because we are going to, we're not going to be able to go into the editor. I know we won't be able to do it today because it's just going to be too many people on top of it. All right. So I'm going to stop my timer early unless someone in the participant window needs a little bit more time. If you need a little bit more time, go ahead and raise your hand so that I know you need more time. If not, I'm going to start a little bit, I'm going to stop a little bit early. Okay, so what we can do now is I want to just briefly mention QuickTime. It's something that is in every single Mac Apple device. QuickTime has, when you open it, most people know QuickTime as the movie player. But if you open QuickTime and you close all the windows to open a movie and you click on File, you can get to a screen recording. And then you just record the area. You just pull these little circles here and it will take it to the area and press record. And it records your screen and it just saves it right to your computer. Such an easy tool. You can make it to where it saves to the desktop. You can put a timer on there if you need a few seconds to get ready. You can choose the microphone. I chose no microphone because I wanted to record just a how-to. I didn't need to talk, but if I wanted to, I could have put in the built-in microphone. In Zoom, you can record and do the clicks so that it shows where your mouse is clicking, which is really nice. And then it gives you the ability to just customize your screencast a little bit more. So these little menus here, this is if you want to record, take a screenshot on a Mac, you can just take a screenshot here, or you can do a screencast. The little dot means it's a screencast. And this means you choose your area. This means it records the entire desktop. Remember what I told you earlier about recording and only showing what you mean to show. iPads also have a screen recorder, and it's on this, this is a little how-to on how you find the screen recorder on your iPad. But you basically just go to Settings, Control Center, and you can add it to this Control Center. And then when you go to this Control Center, you'll see a button that looks like this. You click on it, and everything on your iPad is recorded, which is really nice, especially for those who need to write. If you need to write, and you can use your iPad to write with your hand, or with, if you have the Apple Pencil, that works really well too. So it's a great way to do that. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time here, because earlier when I surveyed it, it felt like many of you did not need the Apple tools. So I'm going to leave these here. You have a copy of the presentation, so you can come back to it if you need to find out more. So let's talk about students. How do these tools work with students? If you are ever thinking these questions, and I'm sure you are, I can't tell if my students understand. Some of my students need more time. Our students are visual learners. I know I'm a visual learner. I learn things on YouTube all the time. I think that's just how we learn now. So when you add Screencastify to your teaching tool belt, it really helps solidify that learning for them. And screencasts work in many different models of your lesson. You can fit screencasts in direct instruction. It's perfect for modeling. You can start a discussion with it. You can give guidelines for your collaborative tasks. You can practice and review, and you can do reflection and skill. But reflection is amazing for screencasting. Our students can reflect on what they learned by using the screencast to kind of tell you everything that they're going through. Other ways that you can use screencasts, you can combine your screencast with different tools. I have 3 different tools here that I mentioned. Edpuzzle is a wonderful platform. For those of you who don't know, what you do with Edpuzzle is you embed a screencast, and then you ask questions within the puzzle. So,
want to create amazing video lessons in minutes? Edpuzzle is your missing piece. With Edpuzzle, you can choose from the millions of videos available from YouTube, National Geographic, TED Talks, Khan Academy, and more. You can also reuse ready-to-go video lessons made by other teachers, or upload your very own teaching video.
And that's where a screencast.
Then use Edpuzzle's video editor to create your perfect lesson. Embed your own questions to check your students' understanding, cut sections to show your students only the most important parts of the video, and even record voiceover so you can explain concepts in your own words. Once you've finished, you can assign it to your students in just one click and prevent skipping to make sure your students don't miss a thing. When you want to check in on your students' progress, use Edpuzzle's hassle-free analytics to get all the...
So one question was brought up in the chat window. Is it a free platform? Edpuzzle is free. There are some limitations, but it is free. One of the things you want to know when you're doing a screencast and you upload it to Edpuzzle, then you have questions embedded within your screencast. What a wonderful way to get that formative assessment, right? Another way to use screencasts would be to add them to your choice boards. So when a student is ready and finished with a unit or a concept, have them show what they know using a choice board. They can show any of these tools, and then if you can just add screencast a presentation to it, and they can use Screencastify to present the information that they just learned, which is a great way for them to reflect on something, build that knowledge, and finish off the lesson that you just taught. One last tool that I wanted to integrate is Flipgrid is a wonderful way to get the screencasts into your class, and then have your class talk to each other. They can watch each other's presentations, and then that will encourage the discourse between their peers. So it's a great way to just work on that peer-to-peer feedback in an asynchronous way. You can monitor it, the responses, so that you don't have to worry about them giving appropriate feedback. You can moderate the videos to make sure that the videos are appropriate and they are of the caliber that you want them to be. But it's a great way to just be able to foster and encourage that feedback among students. I mean, these tools are obviously just another way of using the screencast, but that's what it is. It's the screencast is your product. Now, how can you use that with students to be able to enrich that learning in that lesson that you created for them? I know that was a really, really fast 45 minutes, and I hope that you were able to get some really good nuggets. And, you know, the thing with Instructional Tech PD is if you get one new thing, then I feel like I've done my job, because there are so many things out there and things change all the time. If you learned something different, something new today, even if it was just learning how to drag that Zoom window in and out, then I feel good about my presentation today. If you have questions, I'm going to open the floor to questions, and then I am also on Twitter if you want to find me there. And then, of course, you know that I'm part of the CSUF family, so you can email me if you're interested in that. I'm going to leave the session open now. If you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself and ask your question, or you can just put the questions in the chat box, and I can answer the questions there.
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Go ahead.
Can the Screencastify trim the middle of the video?
It can, but it's going to be trimming in your editor. It will trim in that, remember that editor that I was talking about? It goes into, let me go back to that slide here so you can see this part right here. That's where you would trim. So you open it up in the editor, and then you would trim the middle part of it there. But it will be, it's very slow. I mean, I'm not sure Screencastify, the company, knew they were going to get so many people using their products so fast. It's just, you know, so I think their editor is a little bit slow, but it can be done.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. What other questions can I answer for you today? My enthusiasm with technology. I'm glad you appreciate my enthusiasm with technology. I'm not sure. I get very excited, and it's so silly because I think some people are like, really, you're excited about that? I am. I'm excited about how technology is going to change things. I really think that this is a game changer, and for our students, it makes it so. I especially think about my child, and my child going through the school system, knowing that this is on the horizon for him. I think that's very exciting, and I do love that idea. So, Natalie, I'm going to defer it back to you. One last question. Where are Screencastify recordings saved? They're saved in your drive, in your Google Drive. So you would just go to My Drive, and then there's a little folder there called My Screencastify. It makes it for you. And so it's saved right there for you. Another resource to use is recording a stream on Zoom. That's true. If you want, Zoom does do recordings. As you know, we're recording this session right now. So thank you so much, Lindsay, for that suggestion. Zoom does do that as well.
One last question. Someone asked, how do I Screencastify many slides at once?
So I would do, depending on, I'm not sure why, I think I would need more information on why you would need multiple slides at once. But if you were doing one I mean, you can tell just from looking at my presentation, it would look like the green part is one, the purple part is another one, and the black part is another one. So you could stitch your presentations together like that if you wanted. It's very easy to do in Google Slides. Or you can just pause the recording, because you can pause it and then pick up the new slide and keep going, if I'm understanding your question correctly.
There's a follow-up. So I'm reading a book with many pages. If you're reading a book with many pages.
So, oh, I see. That would make sense. Okay. So, so are the pages of the book separate? Is that?
Tway?
Yes. Hi, how are you? I am scanning many pages and I put them on the PowerPoint slides, and I try to read all the pages because it's had picture in there and it's Vietnamese languages, and I try to create it and I try to read the book out. And how do I do that in one place?
Okay, so you know the best thing to do is in Google Slides, if you decide to do that, I would add each. So are you scanning the book one page at a time? So you have the book one page at a time?
The book that all the schools, I don't have any books. I have one and
Oh,
I took picture with the iPad and I insert one by one and try to read and try to cheat off of that.
yes. Okay. So you can do a couple things. I would, honestly though, just open up a Google slide, a brand new Google slide, and make the book again. And I would make the book again. So you just click on insert image and you can upload from your computer or your iPad. You can even do this in your iPad. And actually, if you have an iPad, I would go to your camera roll and just click on record. You know, the iPad recorder. Let me see if I can find that real quick. This one, I would click on iPad record and then open up the camera roll and just progress to the next picture. Press record. It'll record your voice and the picture. And it'll be like you're flipping through the book.
And no, this is a textbook and I'm trying to teach. I pull one by one out and write whatever I wanted to teach. And like you said earlier, that chunk it out. So that's what I was doing. So one lesson into like 3 different ones and try to add picture, add text into it to make sense to the parents.
Yes. Oh, I see. Yeah. Then I would probably put everything right here in a Google slide. Recreate the book right here in the Google slide. Just insert the image and then insert any supporting text you need or arrows or anything like that. And then click Screencastify to record your voice.
And record one page at a time. And
I would do it that way. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
would.
All right. That's a little bit faster.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, Anne, do you want to go to the other?
I'm sorry. Let me progress that way. Yes.
Slides? Yep.
This one?
Yes. The before that, maybe? Oh, yes, that one. Perfect. Yeah.
Okay.
So thank you, everyone, for your engagement and participation in today's webinar. This is our first one in the series. As you can see in the schedule, we have slated out between now and July almost on a weekly basis. So hopefully you'll be able to tune in. But to help us kind of improve our work and to better serve you as teachers, as instructors, you know, as parents, we'd love to have receive some feedback from you. So if you don't mind taking a minute, I think we probably have like maybe 5 questions that we would like to get your feedback so that we can better plan for future webinars in terms of structures or content, etc. So if you can go ahead and, you know, open up your browser and type in the tiny URL, or you can go to Wren's PowerPoint. Oh, there you go.
I shared the link on the chat. So just copy and paste and put it in your browser.
Wonderful. That would be great if you can help us complete the survey at this time. Thank you. And then, Hue-An, do you want to go ahead and, okay, so here are some of our, while you're completing the survey, here are some of our other upcoming webinars that you can see. So our next topic is going to be on May 14, right? Student Center, Digital Portfolios, Google Sites, and Dr. Wren will also serve as our presenter for the series and the subsequent ones as well. And then if you don't mind going on to the next slide. So because you love it so much, no, we just want to share a lot of great resources that we are currently offering at Cal State Fullerton. So one of which is the Center for Creativity and Critical Thinking. We have online art workshops free for PK through 12 teachers, learning to create journal pages. As you can see, this is a series of 3 workshops, and you see sort of like an example of the product that the participants created. We also offer professional learning, development learning for our teachers, also free and available for units as well. One of, let's see, June 13 is augmented reality literature. August 15, Why Diversity Matters. Continuous Improvement is in September, and then Classroom Literacy, it's in October. And then finally, if you are interested in some of our other programs that we offer, including credential programs for elementary bilingual education, secondary special ed, reading education specialist, or a master's program, include educational leadership, elementary bilingual education, instructional design and technology, literacy, secondary education, special education, and we also offer doctoral program as well, with the emphasis on pre-K-12 specialization and community college specialization. I think that's all I have. Anything else, Minhee?
Just a quick reminder about accessing Zoom for the future webinars. We are using a different link for each webinar just for security reasons. So please keep an eye out for that email the day before the webinar. I'll usually send it out the day on Wednesday before the webinar. So just make sure you get that email and use the specific Zoom link for that webinar. That's it.
Thank you. Well, thank you everyone for a wonderful session today, and hopefully you find the session to be very informative, and hope to see you at our next webinar.
Bye. Thank you so much, everyone. I'm going to stick around in case anyone has any questions or anything like that, but please feel free to email or tweet if you need to find me.
Thank you,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Wren.
Thank you. Thank you.
And can you go over the iPad?
Yeah.